The story I'm going to share with you today is not just a simple tale of successful technology development. This was a war for a nation's pride, and it's an amazing comeback story, unfolding after 10 years of silence. And right at this moment, why are automobile companies from around the world lining up to come to South Korea? Let's discover that amazing truth together. Do you remember? Just 3 years ago, headlines like these flooded the media. Korean batteries losing to China. Helpless against low-price offensive. The fall of the battery kingdom. At that time, the global battery market was shaken by China's fierce, low-price offensive. With price, volume, and government support, Chinese companies rapidly eroded the market. But today, I tell you, the silence Korea showed back then wasn't despair, it was preparation. It wasn't giving up, it was crouching down to leap forward. And now, the results are astonishing the world. Now, let's dive into that amazing story together. In 2022, a massive tsunami hit the global battery market. It was China, CATL, BYD, and dozens of Chinese battery companies rapidly expanded their market share at a frightening pace. Their weapon was clear price. Prices 30%, sometimes 40% lower than Korean batteries. Numerous automakers fell into a dilemma. Korean quality is better, but can we ignore this price difference? Especially small and medium European EV manufacturers began choosing Chinese batteries one by one. According to data from market research firm SNE Research, Chinese companies' share of the global battery market in 2022 exceeded 56%. It was far larger than Korea's LG Energy Solution, Samsung SDI, and SK On combined. I interviewed a battery industry official. At the time, his voice carried deep concern. We cannot win in price competition. The Chinese government's full support, the scale of their domestic market, and above all, their structure that controls the entire value chain from raw material, mining to finished products. We cannot catch up to them in a short time. The market grew darker. In early 2023, the word chasm appeared in the EV market. A temporary demand stagnation. EV sales growth rates began to slow sharply. Even Tesla had to continuously cut prices, and numerous startup EV companies declared bankruptcy. The battery industry was hit harder. Orders were canceled, production lines stopped, and investment plans were postponed. Korea's battery big three were no exception. Stock prices plummeted, and the media reported crisis after crisis. But then, strange things began to happen. In summer 2023, fire accidents occurred, one after another in EVs equipped with Chinese batteries. At first, they were dismissed as coincidences. But the accidents continued. An apartment parking lot in Nice, France. At 2 a.m., flames suddenly burst from an electric vehicle. Sprinklers activated, but the fire didn't go out. Due to the nature of lithium-ion battery fires, extinguishing with water was nearly impossible. Eventually, 23 cars in the parking lot were completely burned, and the entire building was evacuated for 3 days. A charging station in Frankfurt, Germany. An electric bus charging suddenly exploded. Fortunately, there were no casualties, but the entire charging station was destroyed, and nearby shops were damaged. And then the decisive incident happened. In August 2023, in an underground parking lot of an apartment in Incheon, Korea, an electric vehicle equipped with a Chinese battery exploded while charging. The fire spread instantly, and 140 cars in the underground parking lot were completely burned. Apartment residents lost their homes overnight. The bigger problem was public opinion. Electric vehicles are dangerous. Underground parking entry should be banned. The age of EVs is still premature. The entire EV industry shook, and people began asking, what kind of battery was used? Why is it so dangerous? Aren't there any batteries we can trust? Investigation results came out. The problem was the structural Limitations of batteries. Existing lithium-ion batteries use liquid electrolytes. This liquid electrolyte is very vulnerable to high temperatures. When the battery's internal temperature exceeds a certain level, the electrolyte boils. Gas is generated and eventually leads to explosion. Especially Chinese batteries often simplified cooling systems or minimized safety devices for price competitiveness. European and American safety regulatory authorities began to move. Stricter safety standards were introduced, and battery manufacturers had to receive certification again. Many Chinese battery manufacturers faced difficulties. Quality control systems were poor, and safety test data was insufficient. Orders began to be cancelled. A major crack appeared in China's strategy to dominate the market through low-price offensive. And at this very moment, the world began to realize batteries aren't just about being cheap. This is a matter of life and safety. Reliable technology is needed. The market paradigm began to change. From price to safety, from volume to quality, from short-term profit to long-term trust. And this wind of change opened a door of new opportunity for Korea. However, the situation of Korea's battery industry at that time was also far from good. Demand reduction due to the chasm, China's low price offensive, and investor anxiety. LG Energy Solutions stock price was cut in half from its listing, and Samsung SDI and SK On were in similar situations. The media reported crisis after crisis daily. The golden age of Korean batteries is over. The technology gap with China is rapidly narrowing. Will we hand over the battery kingdom's position to China? But I noticed something strange. During that period, Korean battery companies were too quiet. They minimized media interviews and made no flashy announcements. But one thing, R&D investment continued. LG Energy Solution invested 800 billion won in R&D in 2023 alone. Samsung SDI greatly expanded its next-generation battery research center, and SK On doubled its global battery research personnel. Even as the market froze and stock prices plummeted, there was one thing. They didn't give up: solid-state battery development. Solid-state batteries. Some of you may have heard this term, but most people thought just technology of the distant future or a dream impossible to commercialize. Indeed, countless companies worldwide challenged solid-state battery development for decades, but all failed or didn't reach the commercialization stage. Japan's Toyota researched for over 30 years, but was still stuck at the prototype stage, and numerous American startups closed their doors after spending all their investment. Why is it so difficult? Let me briefly explain the principle of solid-state batteries. Existing lithium-ion batteries use liquid electrolytes. Between the cathode and anode is a liquid electrolyte, and electricity is generated as lithium ions move through this liquid. But this liquid is the problem. It can leak, boil, and explode. Solid-state batteries replace this liquid electrolyte with a solid electrolyte. Sounds simple when you hear it, right? But in reality, it's an incredibly difficult technology. First obstacle: ionic conductivity of solid electrolytes. Ions don't move as fast as in liquids. Output drops and charging speed slows. Second obstacle: interfacial resistance. Resistance occurs where solid meets solid, like when you put two stones together. No matter how smoothly polished, microscopic gaps form. Third obstacle: manufacturing process. Making solid electrolyte uniformly and achieving perfect contact with electrodes. This was impossible with existing battery manufacturing equipment. An entirely new process had to be developed. Fourth obstacle: cost. Making prototypes in small quantities and securing price competitiveness through mass production are completely different stories. Because of all these obstacles, companies worldwide were frustrated, and forecasts like solid-state batteries will only be possible by 2030, and commercialization is far off, dominated. But Korean researchers didn't give up. research that began in 2013. For over 10 years, they quietly but persistently challenged this impossibility. A research center in Daejeon. Under fluorescent lights, researchers in white coats looked through microscopes. Thousands, tens of thousands of experiments, changing the composition of solid electrolytes, adjusting sintering temperatures, trying new methods to improve interfaces. Failures repeated. Ionic conductivity increased but mechanical strength weakened when strength increased. Ionic conductivity dropped, reducing interfacial resistance astronomically raised. Manufacturing costs. Lowering costs dropped performance. Solving one problem made another pop up. Many researchers grew exhausted. Is this really possible? Are we chasing an empty dream? But the leaders didn't waver. A chief researcher at Samsung SDI reportedly told his team, "What we're doing now isn't simply making a new battery. We're creating future transportation. We're making electric vehicles our children can ride safely. If we fail 100 times, we try the 101st time. If we fail 1,000 times, we try the 1,001st time. The moment we give up, everything ends. But as long as we continue, possibility lies." And finally, at the end of 2021, a research team at LG Energy Solution found a breakthrough, a new composition of sulfide-based solid electrolyte. They discovered that adding a trace amount of specific oxide to existing sulfide electrolyte dramatically increased ionic conductivity. At the same time, interfacial resistance was greatly reduced. This discovery was immediately shared with Samsung SDI and SK On. Though competitors, they were jointly conducting national R&D projects and had promised to share core original technologies. Because they knew this wasn't just one company's problem. It was the future of Korea's entire battery industry at stake. In 2022, research accelerated. Samsung SDI developed a new manufacturing process and SK On found mass production methods. LG Energy Solution began actual vehicle mounting tests through partnerships with automakers. In early 2023, the first prototype was completed. Energy density 1.5 times that of existing lithium-ion batteries, charging speed 2 times faster, and most importantly, fire risk virtually 0%. The research center cheered, but they didn't announce it. They weren't yet confident. Prototype success and actual mass production success were different issues. They quietly moved to the next stage. Demonstration testing. Testing in actual driving environments. At extreme temperatures, repeating. Fast and slow charging, driving. Thousands of kilometers. From summer to winter 2023. 6 months of harsh testing preceded. Extreme cold of -30 degrees. Desert heat of +50 degrees. Repeated rapid acceleration and braking. Infinite repetition of charging and discharging. The battery endured. Performance degradation was minimal, and safety was perfect. Never overheated, never malfunctioned. In December 2023, they finally had confidence. Korea's solid-state battery was ready to leave the laboratory and enter the real world. But they remained quiet, because they knew timing of announcement was important. Announcing too early would give competitors time to catch up. Announcing too late would miss the opportunity for market preemption. They waited for the perfect moment, and that moment came sooner than expected. March 2024, the International Battery Symposium held in Geneva, Switzerland. At this gathering of battery experts from around the world, LG Energy Solutions CTO took the podium. The audience didn't have high expectations. Probably just another theoretical research presentation, or commercialization will be far off. But as the presentation began, the atmosphere changed drastically. Today, we declare that commercialization of solid-state batteries is approaching reality. Data appeared on the screen. Energy density 500 Wh/kg, about 1.7 times existing lithium-ion batteries. Charging time 500 km, range with 10-minute Charge 2 times faster than existing. Lifespan 90% performance maintained. After 1000 charges, 1.5 times improvement over existing. Safety no ignition even when pierced with a nail. Operating temperature from -40 to +80 degrees. And the most amazing thing, we're targeting mass production start in 2027. The hall buzzed. Is it real? Can we believe it? We need to verify the data. But the presentation continued. This time, Samsung SDI's turn. We're already discussing cooperation with global automakers for solid-state battery supply. And SK On, our solid-state battery pilot line is targeting operation in the second half of 2024. The global battery industry was shocked. While Korea quietly prepared, the world hadn't noticed at all. After the presentation, Q&A began. A Toyota researcher from Japan raised his hand. How did you solve the interfacial resistance problem? LG's researchers answered. We added specific oxides to sulfide, electrolyte and applied nano-coating technology. This reduced interfacial resistance by over 90%. A GM engineer from America asked, "What's the manufacturing cost?" Samsung SDI's representative answered, "Currently at prototype stage, about 30% higher than existing lithium-ion batteries. But as mass production scale increases, we expect to reach price parity within 5 years. And since lifespan is over 1.5 times longer, total cost of ownership will actually be lower." CATL's representative from China threw a sharp question. Is mass production really possible in 2027? As far as we know, solid-state battery manufacturing process is very complex. SK On's representative confidently answered, "We've already confirmed stable production at laboratory scale. Of course, there are challenges to solve in scaling up to mass production, but we're fully prepared," and added a decisive statement. Hyundai Motor Group is considering mounting our solid-state batteries in new EVs scheduled for launch in 2027. The hall buzzed. This wasn't just a research achievement presentation. Actual commercialization was approaching. After the symposium ended, representatives from automakers of each country flocked to Korean company booths. Germany's BMW, Mercedes-Benz, America's GM, Ford, Japan's Honda, Nissan, even China's BYD. Everyone asked the same questions. Can you supply to us too? We want to discuss partnership. When can we meet to talk? But the most dramatic response came from America. In April 2024, Silicon Valley, Cyrus Rizada, CEO of battery startup Factorial Energy, made an amazing statement in a media interview. "I'll be honest, we researched solid-state batteries for 10 years, but we don't match the achievements Korea has made. Korea is the core of the battery value chain. Their technological prowess and manufacturing capabilities are currently world-class. In the future, the global automotive industry will find it difficult to design the future without Korean batteries." This statement made headlines in media worldwide. Korean batteries emerging as game changer. Solid-state batteries, Korea on the verge of world's first commercialization. Battery hegemony, from China to Korea. But the really amazing thing was separate. The actual performance of solid-state batteries far exceeded expectations. In June 2024, Hyundai Motors, Namyang Research Center, a test vehicle equipped with solid-state batteries, conducted a 1,000 kilometers driving test. The results were amazing. Traveled 1,027 kilometers on full charge, with one mid-trip charge 10 minutes. Traveled over 1,500 kilometers total. This was about twice the figure of existing EVs. More amazing was the safety test. Pierced battery with nail didn't ignite. Exposed battery to 150-degree high temperature didn't explode. Hit battery with hammer. Worked without any problem. One safety expert said, "This is revolutionary. Anxiety about EV fires will completely disappear." Until now, fire risk was the biggest reason people avoided EVs. But now that obstacle can be completely removed. European safety regulatory authorities also moved. Germany's TÜV conducted intensive evaluation of Korea's solid-state batteries. Result: top grade. Received the highest level safety certification usable throughout Europe. When this news spread, European automakers moved. In July 2024, Stuttgart, Germany, Mercedes-Benz's CEO personally visited Korea. After touring Samsung SDI's Cheonan factory, he said, "We plan to electrify all models by 2030. But it's impossible without gaining customer trust. Korea's solid-state batteries are the most promising solution that can create that trust. We want long-term partnership." BMW followed. France's Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi alliance. Italy's Stellantis. Everyone rushed to Korea. Even Tesla's Elon Musk posted on social media, "Korean solid-state battery technology is impressive. We should seriously consider partnership opportunities." Korea's battery Big Three screamed with joy. Cooperation proposals flooded in. LG Energy Solution signed MOUs with various global companies related to solid-state batteries in 2024 alone. Samsung SDI announced plans to build a new solid-state battery plant in Hungary. SK On revealed they're reviewing construction of solid-state battery production lines in Georgia, USA. Investors also returned. Korea's battery Big Threes stock prices showed significant upward trends throughout 2024. But the most dramatic change happened in the Chinese market. In August 2024, Beijing Motor Show, Chinese EV manufacturer NIO made a surprising announcement. "We're reviewing application of Korea's next-generation battery technology in premium models." Chinese media was turned upside down. "Why Korean batteries when we have Chinese batteries?" NIO's CEO answered honestly. "Because customers want it. They want the best products in safety and performance. We want to make the best products. For that, we need the best batteries." This was a symbolic event. In the heart of that massive Chinese battery market, Korean battery excellence was beginning to be recognized. CATL and BYD were flustered. They too were investing heavily in solid-state battery development, but were at least 2 to 3 years behind Korea. They hastily accelerated development, but the market atmosphere was already changing. In September 2024, Paris Motor Show, the Korean pavilion attracted the most visitors. The solid-state battery concept car exhibited by Hyundai Motor was the center of attention day after day. One French citizen said, "Honestly, I was anxious about EVs. Every time I saw fire news, I worried. But Korea's solid-state battery technology is different. When this is commercialized, I think I can trust my family's safety and buy an EV." This was the real revolution Korean batteries were creating. Not just technological superiority, but gaining people's trust, competing with value, not price. And that value was life and safety. November 2025, Jamsil, Seoul. Battery Day Korea 2025 event was held. Over 500 automaker executives and battery experts from 70 countries worldwide gathered. At the opening ceremony, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy opened with these words. 3 years ago, many people worried about the future of Korean batteries. China's low price offensive, market chasm, investor anxiety. But we didn't give up. We decided to compete with reliable technology, not cheap prices. The result is here today. A giant screen on stage lit up. 2025 Global Battery Market Outlook. Korea 40% target increasing premium market share. China 45% mainly low price market. Japan 12%. Others 3%. Particularly noteworthy was the premium battery market. In the high-performance battery market with energy density over 300 Wh/kg, Korea held over 60% market share. And in the solid-state battery market, Korea secured a leading position. SNE Research's CEO presented, from 2026 to 2030, the global battery market is expected to grow at an average annual rate of 22%. Especially the solid-state battery market is expected to show explosive growth, averaging over 75% annually until 2030. Currently, Korean companies are leading this market, and this advantage is expected to be maintained until 2030. He also analyzed economic ripple effects. Korea's battery industry is expected to create production inducement effects of over 280 trillion won and create over 450,000 jobs by 2030. This isn't just the battery industry's effect. It will drive innovation across the entire ecosystem spanning materials, equipment, parts, automobiles, power, and charging infrastructure. In the afternoon session, a panel discussion with global CEOs was held. BMW's CTO, Ford's EV division head, Toyota's battery development director, all gathered in one place. The moderator asked, "Why do you pursue cooperation with Korean batteries?" Ford's representative answered first, "It's simple. Because lives are at stake. We're reviewing application of Korea's next-generation battery technology in the F-150 Lightning electric truck, American construction sites, farms, rough roads. It must be safe and reliable in any environment. Korean batteries give that trust." BMW's CTO added, "Technical excellence is important, but partnership stability is also important. Korean companies keep promises. They don't compromise quality. They're partners we can grow with long-term." Toyota's director humbly admitted, "Honestly, we researched solid-state batteries for over 30 years, but Korea came closer to commercialization. We must acknowledge this. Now we want to create a better future through cooperation with Korean companies." Great applause erupted. Toyota's honest admission as a competitor reconfirmed Korean battery technologies excellence once more. Evening networking reception. Business cards exchanged everywhere. Meeting schedules set. A European automakers purchasing executive said to LG Energy Solutions sales representative, "We need solid-state batteries starting from 2028. Is cooperation possible?" "We're discussing cooperation with various companies. Since we're targeting 2027 commercialization, we can prepare together through long-term partnership. Then we'd like to start specific discussions." This was the atmosphere at the scene. Beyond requesting supply, proposals poured in to prepare the future together. Korean batteries' status had completely changed. December 2025, the White House. The U.S. government discussed large-scale cooperation plans with Korean battery companies. The U.S. planned to raise EV sales share to 50% by 2030, and stable battery supply was essential for this. Korea is America's most reliable partner. We welcome Korean companies' investments in America and will actively support through tax benefits and regulatory easing. Indeed, IRA Inflation Reduction Act benefits were expanded, and support for Korean battery companies was strengthened. LG Energy Solution announced construction of a large-scale solid-state battery plant in Michigan, Samsung SDI in Illinois, SK On in Kentucky. Each announced large-scale investment plans. This wasn't just factory construction. Tens of thousands of jobs created in America. Dozens of partner companies entering together. Entire regional economies being activated. Europe was the same. The EU launched European Battery Alliance 2.0 and designated Korean companies as core partners. Germany, France, Poland, Hungary. Korean battery plant construction proceeding throughout Europe. January 2026, Davos World Economic Forum. A special session on EV revolution and battery future was held. Samsung SDI's CEO gave the keynote speech. 10 years ago, we dreamed a dream of making batteries that don't catch fire, last long, and charge fast. Many said it was impossible, but we didn't give up. Today, that dream is becoming reality. But we won't stop here. By 2030, we'll double current energy density, reduce charging time to 5 minutes, and lower price to half current levels. Our goal is simple: make EVs safer, more economical, and more convenient than internal combustion vehicles, so our children can live breathing clean air. The audience gave a standing ovation. That evening, CNN aired a special documentary titled Battery Kingdom: Korea's Race to the Future. The documentary began like this: in the early 2020s, Korea's battery industry faced crisis. China's low-price offensive, market stagnation, safety controversies. But now, Korea is rapidly moving toward the center of the global battery market. How was this possible? The documentary interviewed researchers at Korean research centers. One chief researcher said, "The hardest moment was when no one believed in us. Investors, media, even our families asked, is it really possible? But we believed that what we were doing was right, that someday the world would recognize us. That faith sustained us." The documentary illuminated Korea's education system, government R&D support policies, companies' long-term investment philosophy, and above all, researchers' dedication. The final scene was impressive. A Korean elementary school. In science class, the teacher asked the children, "Everyone, what's your dream?" One child raised their hand. "I want to become a battery scientist. Our country's batteries are becoming the world's best. I want to make even better batteries too." Other children shouted, "Me too. I want to be a scientist too." The camera slowly moved out of the classroom and showed Seoul's skyline. The narrator's voice was heard. Korea's battery revolution isn't simply technology's victory. This is a journey of spirit that doesn't fear challenges, perseverance that rises again after failure, and faith toward a better future. Now the whole world is watching Korea because they know where the battery future is heading. The journey toward the future, Korea is together. January 2026, present. Hyundai Motor is in final preparation stages targeting 2027 launch of EVs equipped with solid-state batteries. Pre-registration interest already exceeds tens of thousands, and Europe and America hold great expectations before launch. Kia is also developing an EV9 solid-state version. LG Energy Solution signed strategic partnerships with major global automakers throughout 2025. Samsung SDI's stock price shows continued upward trends, and SK On is attracting global investment with recognized corporate value. And the most symbolic change, news that China's CATL is recently exploring technology cooperation possibilities with Korean companies. We want to learn from Korea's advanced technology. We want to make better batteries together. The Chinese company that once pressured Korea with low-price offensive is now extending a hand of cooperation. Market dynamics are changing, from price to value, from volume to quality, from short-term profit to long-term trust. And at the center of that change stands the Republic of Korea. The story I told you today isn't just a success story. It gives us important lessons. First, crisis is opportunity. When China's low-price offensive and market chasm came, Korea didn't give up but developed better technology. Second, long-term value is more important than short-term profit. Ultimately, being recognized with reliable technology wins over dominating the market with cheap prices. Third, true innovation comes from patience. Over 10 years of research, thousands of failures, but perseverance that doesn't give up. That's making the impossible possible. Fourth, cooperation is more important than competition. Korea's battery big three are competitors, but jointly developed and shared core technologies for the entire nation's future. Finally, nothing is more important than life and safety. No matter how cheap and high-performing, it's meaningless if not safe. The reason Korea's solid-state batteries receive world attention is precisely this, because they chose life over price, trust over profit. And at this very moment, somewhere in the world, an EV equipped with Korean batteries is safely taking someone's family home. Somewhere in the world's research centers, Korean scientists are researching today for a better future. In 2027, when solid-state batteries are fully commercialized, the EV era will face a completely new phase. And at that center will stand the Republic of Korea, a place moving toward the world's heart, a place where Made in Korea pride lives, and Korea's tomorrow that we can all be proud of. If today's story moved you, please like and subscribe, and share your thoughts in comments. What do you think about Korean battery technology? What changes do you expect in the future EV era? In the next video, I'll return with an even more moving story. Hoping emotion reaches your hearts today. This was Heart Bridge Stories. Thank you.